Hey mama, do you find yourself wishing you knew you were on the right path with your business? Or wanting to know how to do it all as a work-at-home mom and entrepreneur? If you struggle with imposter syndrome, mom guilt, or fear of failure, then you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Alexia, a Christian mindset coach passionate about teaching moms how to renew their minds to find success both in business and motherhood. You can overcome the negative thoughts holding you back from fully stepping into your calling. I know what it's like to worry your business will never work, to feel mom guilt every time you work on your business, to realize your mindset is hindering you, but not knowing how to change it in a Christ-centered way. I created the Mama with a Calling podcast to teach you how to use the powerful combination of God's Word and proven mindset strategies to help you break free from negative, paralyzing thoughts and gain clarity and confidence to go where God is leading you. As you step out of the old way of thinking and into God's way, you'll find more peace, joy, and purpose. Pop in those earbuds and get ready to let God work in you so He can work through you. Hey. Okay, today on the podcast, I'm going to be doing something different. I've never done this before. I am actually going to be sharing with you an interview of a previous client of mine that went through the Called and Confident Christian Entrepreneur Coaching Program that I have. It's a 3-month program. You can learn more details in the description below. But what I wanted to share with you was an episode where I'm talking to somebody, my client, about her decision process around the program, where she was, why this made sense for her, what her experience was like. I tried not to make this like sales pitchy. That's not what this is for. It's to help you understand what it's like to be in a coaching program, what it does for you, what the experience is like, what it feels like, the day in, day out. Because one of the things that, I love doing is coaching, but I think it's really hard. I just met a woman recently in person. She may be listening to this podcast and she knows me. And still, she was like, what is it that your coaching does? And I was like, oh goodness, I've got to get this message out there in a clearer way, because I know I've seen the power of coaching. Part of it is just coaching in general, like mindset coaching, life coaching, business coaching, like that kind of coaching, having somebody to ask questions to, process emotions, process decisions, navigate all of that, to recognize when you're going through something and you are letting fear get in the way, recognizing when you are stalling, recognizing when you are, pivoting too much and it's like, whoa, there's something going on here. You keep changing your mind or whatever that is. It's so powerful. But the second part of that is when you have a faith-based, spirit-led coach, then it's not just me coaching you. I am listening to what the Holy Spirit is leading me to ask you during the coaching process. And so I feel like God's gifted me in that area, not to boast, but to say that it is something I love doing. I love listening to clients and then honing in on, wait a second, what did you say right there? What did that mean? There's something else there. And so what this episode is talking to her about that and talking about her before and after and things like that. So there are 2 purposes for this. One, I already said, which is I want you to hear what it's like to be in a program like this. So this is great if you are considering coaching, either with me or anybody else. You can kind of hear what that might be like. And so if you're on the fence, this is great. But even if you're not interested in coaching right now or you don't know, this is also great to listen to someone else's story. This is one of my favorite kind of podcasts to listen to, is the kind where I'm listening to somebody else tell their story, because as you listen to somebody else's journey, you get ideas, you get inspiration. It helps you feel like, oh, I'm not alone. They're going through that too. And to see what's possible. So at the end, I'll do all this. And then I actually have an update, because this actually was done middle of last year. But I want to add an update of where she is now, because it's even better. So I'll put that at the end. So, all right, let's get into the interview with my client so you can see what her journey was like. Welcome back to another episode of the Mama with a Calling podcast. Today, I have a special guest, Jeri Orstad. Is it Orstad?
Orstad. Yep.
I said it. I also don't realize. I was like, wait, is it an L? Jeri Orstad on the podcast today. She is a previous client of mine, and I'm excited to share with you guys some of her story, hear about what she does, and just kind of what her experience was like going through the Called and Confident Christian Entrepreneur Program, because I know that a lot of times it can be like, what do you even get out of something like that? So welcome to the show, Jeri.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so most people probably don't know about you. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business and how you got to where doing what you're doing?
Sure. So I am a Midwest girl. I live in Iowa. My husband and I are on a farm. We have three kiddos that keep us very busy. They're just getting to that age where the upper elementary, middle school age. So we're running every which way direction for all three of them all the time. But so life is busy. I can't remember if I already said we live on a farm, so we also have the farm to care for and whatnot. So I am actually a nurse by trade, and I learned a while ago that my nursing career, what was, I guess, available here, what I was doing was not really driving with family life and farm life and so on and so forth. So I learned that I needed to have something that was a little bit more flexible so that I could incorporate all of that and still be mom and farm wife. So I started looking at online options, and of course 2020 came around. I was at that point in time working as a school nurse, and I was very fortunate to be able to help the kids in our community through that time during 2020 and 2021. But I also learned that my heart really wasn't being like, I love helping people and helping them with their wellness, but I also just felt kind of pulled to go a different route. So along that path, I guess I just continued to pray and take the next step forward and what I felt like God was calling me to do. And that led me to managing ads on Facebook and Instagram, social media. So yeah, I ended up joining your program because I was at that point where I was actually working part-time for a small business, and I was just really being pulled to this ad management opportunity. And my heart, like my head told me, like, you're crazy. You don't know anything about marketing. You are a nurse trained. Like, this is not your forte. And ironically, I've always kind of said, like, oh, marketing, like that is not my thing. Like, so, and I remember saying that even like when working in the nursing world, working at the hospital, I was working with the media marketing gal, and I was just like, yeah, media or marketing is not my thing. So it's funny how God works. But so I was in a position where I was needing to leave my job. I felt pulled to leave my job, but at the same time, my head is like, well, what are you going to do? Like, you don't know what you're doing. You've never done this before. How are you going to make money? What if you don't make any money? All of the things. So I felt like I really needed someone to help me make that transition and start this business on my own. And then help me with that mindset, and then also be able to, I guess, adapt that mindset of like, you can do this. Like, God is calling you to this. You can do this. Like, just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Then it kind of all like just like hit me one day, like, okay, are you going to do this or are you not going to do this? Like, this, you need to do this. And it was just at that like pivotal moment of, I'm doing this. What support do I need in order to do this? And then, so I was listening to your podcast, like on my way to work each morning. And then you had mentioned that webinar or whatnot. And then I hopped on there. And then once I was listening to that at that practice, I was just like, yep. Oh, yep. Yep. Like, you just hit all of my, like all of those things. Like, when you're just, it's like, yes, this is it. Like, this is what I need.
Well, that's good. But I was just kind of wondering too, though, like if it was when we try to do, not that because you can totally, anybody can start a business on their own. They can, like you said, you decided in April that you were going to do this Facebook ads marketing agency model of a business. And then we try, like we start, and then it's like, I'm not doing the thing, or, I keep pushing things off, or like there's something that comes up to where it's like we run into ourselves and, we get in our own way in some capacity, and it becomes frustrating because we logically understand that we need to do the thing and we have the plan and all, but we're still not doing it. And then that's where I would love to come in and help people on, let's do the thing that you already have the tools for, right? Like you have this business, let's keep moving forward, like you were saying. So when it comes to the program overall, like what was your biggest takeaway from the program, if you were to share that with somebody who's thinking about joining?
I think there's a lot of things that I gained, but I think like boiling it down, I think it really, and like I don't mean like this is the name of the program, but it's like it really made me confident in taking that leap and going into my own business, and then like knowing that this is what God has called me to do. And the confidence came, I think, with the mindset shifts that happened within the program, and talking to you with the Voxer coaching. And to me, as a busy mom, and I'm sure others can relate to this, that our minds have like many tabs open, and it's like each tab gets the attention, at certain times of the day. And sometimes, when you're doing one tab, this other tab you're thinking about. So being able to like pick up my phone and just shoot you a voice message right when I was thinking about it, rather than, oh yeah, I need to write that down, and then not being in a position to be able to write it down and then talk about it like at our next call or whatever. For me, the Voxer coaching was was very beneficial, and I felt like that was a big perk for me, because I could talk and ask my question while I was thinking about it. Whereas if I would have had to have waited to a coaching call or something, I'd be like, oh yeah, what was I going to ask her? I can't remember now. So then it would be gone. And I specifically remember going out and checking cows and checking fence and boxering you all at the same time. So it was like, I was driving around doing what I needed to be doing, but yet my mind was was thinking about my business and all of the things that I needed to do there. So being able to Voxer you and have that conversation while I was still doing some of my other responsibilities on the farm was huge for me. So
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned the Voxer because I just think it's so valuable, but people don't quite, they're like, what? Like that's kind of weird, or they haven't done that before. But I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like it's so valuable as anybody. I mean, but as a mom, because like you're saying, like I would get messages from multiple different clients, but like sometimes it's late at night, sometimes it's like really early in the morning, and then I'll reply late at night or whatever. And so it's just so good to have the ability to just kind of get those thoughts out, get the coaching around that whenever it strikes. Yeah, that's really good. So when you talked about the confidence and knowing that you're, this confidence to know that God's called you to do this, what were some specifics there? Because before, were you doubting that? Was that part of the issue? And then when you went into the program, that shifted for you. Can you explain that a little bit more?
yes. So I think my mind, I always overthink things, I feel like, or I do at times. So having you to like bounce my ideas off of and my thoughts, and walk me through some of my mindset blocks, I realized that like you said this one thing, and for whatever reason it like even resonates with me probably on a weekly basis now. Like, and I remember you saying, well, Jeri, like you saw that that educational course that you did, you saw that and you were drawn to that for a reason. I could have seen the same thing and just, went right on by it and not thought anything of it. So, but you saw it and you like, got excited about it and felt this, energy within or whatever. So just because you, how do I want to say this? I don't know as if it was, like that I was worried about what other people would think, or that like I am like this is totally not me type of thing. But it was more or less just, it was so like I didn't see it coming, so to say, right? Like it wasn't quote unquote part of the plan. And then when it came and you got excited, I got excited. It was just like, whoa, wait a second. Like, what is this? Like, is this real? Is this like, what is going on right now? Just because it was so unexpected. And now I kind of rambled on and I forgot what your question was.
I mean, that's it. Yeah. Like just what kind of shifted or what specifically helped with the confidence or to know that you're called to this. So I think you were addressing I guess they kind of go hand in hand. When you know you're called, you feel confident in what you're doing because it's not just internal. It's you realize like, hey, God's calling me to this. And sometimes we need that help with realizing that, or like somebody else to kind of not permission, but just like showing us like, hey, this is a calling. It's not just some random idea you had.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So I love your results that you got. So I'm a little bit biased, but I would love for you to share with people. So obviously when you started the program, where were you with your business? And then what were the results that you got coming out of the program?
So when I started the program, I was literally at like ground zero with my business. I had certain things in place, like, all of the business working things, but as far as like running my own ads and getting clients and having, work to do, so to say, like really launching my business, I hadn't done any of that yet. And I really didn't even have I had my logo, I had my domain, I had like all of those things, but I didn't have my own ad put together, and I didn't have like those steps that like really make your business real, right? So I was able to, launch my own ad, and then, gosh, was it by, I think I launched my own, I can't remember when I launched my own ad, December probably. So within those 3 months really of working with you, I went from 0 clients to 5 clients, and ended up, like running out of the gate. Like I never dreamed that it would be like that. And it was fun. I was loving it, and like it was great. So I really feel like if I wouldn't have gone through the program, like I don't know where I would be, because I don't know if I would have launched myself, so to say, as soon as I did. And then with the confidence, I think the success came with the confidence. So,
yeah, because one of the things that I specifically remember, and I think this is something that I want to encourage people with and let them know too, because one of the things that I am passionate about is empowering you to believe that you can hear God speaking to you and leading you in your business. That it's not me telling you what to do, but that he's telling you, like he's guiding you on what to do. And so I specifically remember in the beginning when you just felt like you're like, I just felt like God told me to post this. And so like you just posted, and then you had like from there you had so many new clients and different things happen. And I just thought that is such a like a gift. I don't know, like the skill that we need as Christian entrepreneurs to listen to what God's asking you to do, because you didn't overthink it. You didn't let fear get in the way. You just were like in that practice of, where is God leading me today? I don't know. Like you just felt like this thing of, I need to post this. And so do you feel like that, like the program helped you to do that, or were you already kind of in the practice of just listening for God that way around your business?
I feel like I definitely feel like I listened to God, but I feel like this program removed any little ounce of doubt of like, was that God or am I crazy? Like that type of mindset. Because sometimes I feel like as for me anyway, as mom and farm wife, when your mind gets to going so fast, it was like, and you're doing all of the things that you need to do. I was like, you'll hear something and it's like, wait, where did that come from? Was that me or was that God? Like, no, that was God. That was not me. So I feel like, I guess this program really probably just brought my relationship with God even closer, and where I do recognize that voice. And when I do hear the voice now, it's like, okay, like we got to do this. Like, yes, this is what I had planned, but we got to do this because this is what I was told to do. Whereas I think maybe before I would have been like, okay, I'll get it done, like add it to the list type of thing. But now it's like, nope, he spoke, let's do. I don't care what else I have on the to-do list, my plate, whatever. This is what he said. This is what we need to do. And I do remember I was at my job and I was trying to decide, like, when do I go? I was feeling like I needed to quit my job, but I had no clients, and I had like, I didn't necessarily feel comfortable leaving without, the income to go to. And I just kept having like this reassurance of like, it's time, like it's time. And I remember praying and was like, okay, well, if it's time, like tell me when to leave. And now looking back on it, of course, it's like, he told me it was time. But then I was like, whoa, okay, I got it that it's time, but when, what day, like what, like, and we do that, and it's so silly, but yet it's so real at the same time. Because if we're following God, it doesn't really matter. Like if he tells you to do something, you do it. You don't just sit there and bargain back and forth with him. Like we're not to do that. But I remember talking with you on that, like, when am I going to leave and what am I going to do? I don't have any clients. And I feel like that kind of all happened about the same time when I made that post that you were referring to just a little bit earlier. And I remember standing like near my desk, and like the sun was shining in. I remember it, just standing there. And all of a sudden I was busy doing something. And then all of a sudden it was just like the world stopped for just a few seconds. And he's like, in January, you're leaving. And it was like, okay. He said it was time to go. And this was probably like, I don't know, like right at the 1st of November-ish. And that was all about the same time I felt that need to make that post. And I did the post. I ended up having my first client book off of that post. And then it was like just a couple weeks after that, I was like, okay. And then I ended up telling my boss that I was going to be leaving in January. And that gave him like roughly 6 weeks or so to be able to find somebody else. So yeah, looking back on it, it's like a wonderful story type, thing. But when I was in it, like, it was real, and I was, I wouldn't say stressed out, but I was definitely like, I don't know, maybe I was stressed out. I guess you remember how I was. But yeah, and looking back on it, like God works, right? Like he shuts the door and he waits on the other side until we're ready. Like I just heard this analogy just yesterday, and I was actually talking to my 12-year-old son about it because he heard it and he's like, wait, what? What does that mean? And it was this mom talking about, like, she takes her toddler and puts her in, in her bedroom, in her crib to take a nap, right? Well, the toddler doesn't want to take a nap. The toddler doesn't want to be there. It doesn't want to be by itself. But the mom knows, like, in order for them to have fun the rest of the afternoon and get to go do these things, the toddler needs to nap, right? And I think we can all relate to that. So while you put the toddler down, the toddler's screaming, throwing a fit, not wanting to do what the mom is making her do, while the mom's on the outside of the door, like just waiting and, waiting for the toddler to finally crash and go to sleep, knowing that that's the best thing for her, even though she doesn't like it. And God works with us in the same way. Like he shuts the door and lets us learn whatever we need to learn before he opens up that door to give us whatever is on the other side of that door, to bless us and for us to receive his blessing. So that was just kind of like, I guess it kind of came full circle there with that example that I was chatting with my son yesterday, and that, he shuts the door and then when he opens it, like, here we go, it's off to the races, and follow his words and his steps.
And I remember what I think is, I love these stories, these examples, because they're real examples of like you said, it looked like looking back, that's a great practice, by the way, is to look back at what God has done and look at the story to remind yourself of how God's been faithful through every step of the way. But like you said, when you are in that step, even though you heard God say that, it's like, but then you had to deal with the emotion. A lot of times it's the fear, right? We're kind of questioning, did God really say? Because we don't like what we just think we heard God say. He said, quit my job. What? Like, how am I going to do that? What? And so that's where the coaching and just, working through those, like realizing, okay, what am I afraid about? Like, what am I afraid of? Like, why can't I just quit? Like all of those things are part of that. So I think that's a really great story. Thank you for sharing about how just what that looks like and how these mindset blocks are affecting your business and these decisions along the way. So I'd love if you could share, what was the most unexpected benefit from the program? Like something that you like didn't sign up for, that wasn't even part of what you thought was going to happen, but was there anything an unexpected
Yes.
benefit?
So when you asked me this question, I had this thought that came to mind exactly. So I remember our first call, it was almost like a therapy session for me because you asked me two questions, and I know I've asked you the first question, what you asked me first before, and I can't remember it at the time, but you asked me two questions, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the first one is, why does God, why are you special to God, or something like that? And then the second question, and I told you, I said, well, I feel like he's called me to be a mom of my three children and, a wife to this crazy busy farmer and to help others. And then you asked me, how are you worthy in God's eyes? Something like that. And I couldn't answer the question. I'm like, I don't know. Like nothing came to my mind. And you like got closer to the camera because we were on the video, and you said, you don't feel emotion very well, do you? And I was like, yep, nope, probably not. You're like, because most people are crying right now. And I was like, oh, I'm not crying. And I can't answer your question. So for me, it really opened up my eyes of that I normally do a good job of like shoving emotions down and not actually feeling. Because then you said something else about like, you're really good at your head part of this equation. These weren't your exact words, but this is how I interpreted it. You're really good about the head part of the equation, but what about the head to heart connection? And I was like, oh, so just being able to not only, think these things and work through the mindset, but really connecting those things with your heart and having that connection and being able to feel the emotion and not being afraid of the emotion, whether it makes you cry or whether it makes you frustrated or scared or whatever it is, like feel that emotion and let it move through you to kind of process what's going on. And it's almost like for me, it was almost like a freeing feeling, almost like I don't have to hold this in, so to say. And I'm sure that all like stems clear back from childhood and whatnot. But so yeah, that was like an unexpected finding of, you don't feel emotion, do you? I was like,
I remember that. And I think what's kind of the through line of that for all my clients is that there's usually something that kind of permeates through your life, and that's kind of like a I don't know, like for you it was that was connected to, because the question I had asked was, what does God love about you? And when we try to answer that question, if we start writing things down, it can make us sort of be overcome with emotion because we're like receiving God's love for us. Like we can kind of feel it, but you didn't. And it was fine. It wasn't like, it's just like, okay, I think there's like a wall here, like resistance or something. And so, through our coaching time, what kind of permeated across the board is, for you, it was, you're a doer, but like the emotion, like what do you want? Where are you feeling led? These kinds of things, like you just wanted to like get it done. And so, but like walking with God can be emotional, like it can be scary. And so if you don't address the emotion, right, then we can't kind of figure out what's actually going on here. And so, but everybody has something different. Some people have that. Some people have a performance kind of thing where they need to like do things well and accomplish and achieve, or they're like nothing, so it's just really, that is something that I love about the one-on-one coaching aspect of the program, is being able to pull that out and to see that, to help, because that is always like, for every client that's done that, it's like, oh, that's like my thing, that you have to, then you just know to watch out for it. It's not a bad thing, it's just because there's a gift in there too. Like the enemy likes to twist our gifts into like messing things up. But the gift in there is that you're going to get things done. Like you're not going to necessarily let emotion kind of get in the way. But when we're talking about working through mindset blocks, we need to hear those emotions. And so knowing what that is really, really helpful for everybody, to just kind of pay attention to, and know that might be an area where we just want to watch. Okay. So what would you say to someone that's like on the fence about joining the program? What would you say to that person?
Well, first of all, I would say I'm normally that person on the fence. So I went ahead and jumped, and I definitely would not be where I am today with my business if it wasn't for the Called and Confident Entrepreneur program. I feel like you were able to well, just right up in front of like the conversation we just talked about, like, oh, you don't feel emotion very well. Like that was something that, like, I've worked with other coaches before, and there's been nobody that has ever said that to me. And I feel like that was really probably one of the keys of like really opening that up and helping me be successful in order to launch my business and be able to get clients right out of the gate and have that success. So I feel like if anybody's on the fence, I would question them and say, like, who's going to lose if you don't win? Number one, like, if God's called you to this and they've led them to you, like that is a God thing. And I was not looking for it. Like I was not, I feel like it was just like one step after the other. And then it just like kind of snowballed after that. Like, so I would say, go ahead and do it, of course, because I did it. But if you're on the fence, pray about it and just know that like God will shine his light on your steps and be able to show you that this is the right way. And I promise you will walk away with more than what you ever thought you would gain, for sure.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, thank you, Jeri, for being here today. Where can people connect with you if they want to learn more about what you're doing with Facebook ads, or just to follow along on your journey?
I am on Facebook and Instagram under Five Oaks Media. And then I also have my website, of course, at fiveoaksmedia.com. So, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for being here today. It was so great to hear your story.
Thank you, Alexia.
All right. I hope that was encouraging, inspiring to hear someone else's story, to hear the before, the after, what it's like to wrestle with, where is God leading me right now? What am I supposed to be doing? And to see where God can take you, what's possible. So as she talked about, she ended up getting multiple clients and launching her own Facebook ads agency. And now what was so amazing, this is why I wanted to give you this update, is that she ended up going on doing that Facebook ads agency. That wasn't her ultimate end goal. Her ultimate end goal was always to be, like, her dream was to be at home working full-time on the farm with her husband. And today, that is what she is doing. She's working full-time on the farm. They're selling beef, and she's doing all of these things. And she's using all those skills from her social media agency to run ads and to do social media marketing and things for their farm. And so I love that, because even though it might feel like, oh, I wasn't successful because I'm not still doing the Facebook ads agency. No, God led her down that path for a reason. It provided during that season. And then it ultimately opened the door for her to do the real thing that she was always praying for, which was to be home full-time working on the farm. And that's exactly what she's doing. And so I just wanted to share that because I wanted you to see, one, that sometimes the path is a little twisty. You might be like, where are we going here? But really, if you look at it, it's like, oh, this is what I was always wanting. The freedom, the flexibility, to be on the farm. Like, these are the things that she always wanted. And so I love how that turned out for her. And I wanted to share that with you because that is just like the cherry on top, like the ultimate thing that was just so amazing. So if you're interested in joining or just learning about the coaching program that I have, you can go to momwithacalling.com/confusion to clarity, book a free call. It's a free 45-minute call. We can talk about whatever you're wanting coaching about, what you're struggling with, why you're not doing the thing that God's calling you to do. And then I can tell you more about the program and see if it's for you, see if it's the right fit, see if we're a good fit, all of that. I also want to share that I will be I'm launching a course that is coming out in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be doing a live free class on Monday, February 24th, 2025. I'll be sending out more details about that. I want to just go ahead and let you know about it so that you can keep your eye out for it. If you're on my email list, you'll definitely get notified about it. And I will put in the description below when it's ready to sign up. But I wanted to go ahead and let you guys know about it so you can keep it on your radar. This is going to be amazing if you feel like you're stuck and you are stuck in overthinking and you are not doing what God's calling you to do. This will be for you. All right. I hope this encourages and inspires you. Keep pursuing your calling. Thanks for listening to the Mama with a Calling podcast. As always, you'll find the show notes for today's episode at mamawithacalling.com/podcast. Really quick before you head out, are you loving these episodes? To make sure this podcast gets in the ears of as many mamas as possible, please head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review. And while you're there, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. I'm going to be reading your reviews on the podcast, so I can't wait to hear from you. Also, if you know someone that needs to hear these episodes, grab a screenshot and share it on Instagram, and don't forget to tag me at Mama with a Calling so I can share it in my stories. Until next time, keep pursuing your calling.